Okay.
Good afternoon, John Donovan.
Hey, Marty Keller and
Yep.
Daniel Gutierrez.
Yeah, welcome to our colleague and friend Dan Gutierrez
Good
and
afternoon.
Marty Keller here in Sacramento. This is the Intentional Living Podcast, the long-running series, 5 years now plus, uh, chat conversations between John Donovan and myself as we work on looking at the patterns of behavior that we find ourselves stuck with and wondering what the heck is going on when my mind goes, I don't want to do that, and I do it anyway. And
Hmm.
the example I like to use is the donut. I'm walking by that donut, and my mind goes, don't eat that, and my hand reaches for it and stubs it in my mouth anyway. So there's a behavior, a pattern of behavior that we human beings all live with. And in this work in intentional living that John developed a number of years ago, and Dan and I have both been working with him and ourselves on for the past 15 years. We're learning to demystify, not just demystify those behaviors, but create new behaviors that are in alignment with our conscious intentions for our lives. And what we talk about here on this podcast is how do we do that? Aspects of our human psychology, our human spirituality that we can call upon to create the lives that we want to be living. And so that's kind of who we are. And it's kind of great to be here with you two guys because we've all been together for a long time working on this process. We've worked together on it, and each of us facilitates meetings that give people opportunities to work on these issues for themselves. So, welcome to Dan and, of course, John. Good to see you.
Hmm.
And Dan and I, of course, we also do a podcast. And in one of our podcasts a few weeks ago or in the last month, I don't remember exactly what it was. Dan, you started to share with us, with the group, some of the insights that you've been getting from reading the author Lisa Feldman Barrett, and I know John wanted to hear some of those things as well. So um, maybe we could just kick us off by sharing with us, your latest thoughts about what you've read. Tell people who she is, why you're investigating her work, and what the value might be for the listener.
Okay. So my journey is how I come to find her is I've been on this epic. Okay.
I like that word. I like that word. Epic.
Yeah, I'm
It is
from
epic.
why not? It's epic
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Um, oh, um, I don't know, 6+ years ago. The accountability tree has this word emotion underneath the word truth. And I decided that understanding what that meant was the key to this whole process. So I've been doing uh, my my exploration into the subject, um, and where I find myself today is as a result of that journey. So what are emotions? Why are they? What are they? Um, what's what's their value? Why is there a mystery around emotions? Do emotions happen to us and we're slaves to them? Um, all these questions have been running through my mind, and I came across a video. I have my search engine on my YouTube feed is I just type in emotions and I get a slew of choices. And I just came across Lisa Barrett Feldman, and she's a neuroscientist, and she's been at this for over 30 plus years. And she talks about what emotions are, um, and how they're created by the mind or by your
Hmm.
brain. Okay,
Yeah.
so um, uh, one of the interesting aspects of her research is that she goes through and she's questioned the idea that there's universal facial expressions which are linked to emotions. If somebody scowls, that means they're angry. If somebody smiles, that means they're happy. And uh, it's been my experience. I've been to several organizations where they've handed out, emoji faces, and then they've labeled them what they're supposed to be for people to so they know what they're feeling. And the research shows, according to her, and that what is it? 39% of the time when somebody scowls, um, it's an expression of anger, but that leaves what
61.
61% of the time that's not what's going on.
Right.
They could be thinking really hard. Using her examples, they could have a case of bad gas, or whatever. So the idea that you can read somebody's face and guess their emotions is greater than 50% wrong. So that's where she started her research, and she discovered about how the brain actually works. And the brain uses it's in a little black box, so its access to the world is based on your sensory input, your eyes, your ears. Like she says, you don't see with your eyes, you don't hear with your ears, and you don't sense temperature with your hands. All that goes on in the brain. And so her uh, her 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 experience, and what she found out about how emotions are created is based on the current sensory input along with your past experience. Your brain tries to predict what's happening in the present moment. Okay. So it doesn't actually know what's happening. It's just trying to predict it. Your brain is presented with a problem that it can't solve. It's trying to guess what happened to produce the results that you're sensing. It literally doesn't know.
Yep.
But what it does do, it has this huge reservoir of your past memories and experiences to draw on. So your brain is trying to predict what it's sensing in the present and comparing it to what has happened in the past to compare it to see what it's most like.
Yeah.
And in that process, when it comes up with a prediction, it not only predicts what it thinks is happening, it also is mobilizing your body to meet that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And what you feel is when your brain mobilizes your heart, your muscles, and we actually don't have a high definition access to our body. We get a low definition, what we call mood and emotion. So getting back to the thing. So when my brain predicts what's going to happen, it also predicts what I should see, what I should feel, what I should hear.
Yep.
Okay. All of this stuff is a prediction. And then based on that prediction, it sets the body up for that prediction.
Right.
It gears up the body, has an expectation of what it's going to see and hear, and moves forward. And then, based on what it predicts, what it predicts is going to happen. Anything that's different from that prediction is called learning. It's made a guess, set the body up. All these things are going on, and then it experiences something, and then it redefines the model of prediction. So it's getting feedback from the present moment so it can redefine its prediction the next time.
So it's always incorporating the new data.
Yes, that's what's going on.
I want to say unless is coming from family of origin dysfunction, childhood trauma, which puts you in an adrenaline rush, or if the prediction or the results require adrenaline, fight, flight, freeze, please, that you lose the access, you lose the moment to experience because you're in a reaction place. This fits so well into the intentional living, that cunning, baffling, powerful process that keeps us stuck in patterns of behavior. This is so cool. Um, and according to Lisa Feldman Barrett, she doesn't talk about family of origin dysfunction, childhood trauma. She doesn't incorporate fight, flight, freeze, please, which is, I mean, she's explaining it from her experience. Absolutely right on. That the emotions and what we call the brain predicts a situation, and we call it emotion, or the mustering of energy to face this, whatever's coming.
Yes.
And then um, if I'm mature, if I'm able to have healed the subconscious trauma that keeps me stuck in a pattern of behavior, like Marty was talking about at the beginning, I lose the opportunity to experience anything new because of the flooding of adrenaline. I want to bring the board up for just a second. And this mechanism that Lisa Feldman Barrett is describing, that we find ourselves in this result. Okay. What she's saying is that this, and we call it reticular activating system hooked into the survival mechanism, uses all the past information to predict what's going to happen. And if it's something from your childhood that was too much for it to handle, it actually recreates the feeling of the trauma, which is fight, flight, freeze, please. And this is the first time I heard you say, you may have said it before, Daniel, that that becomes a learning process. And
anything that happens different from the prediction is feedback to change the experience, change the next time your brain makes a prediction.
Because it's
right.
new. It's new.
It's not what the brain has predicted
Right.
the results will be.
Right.
So when something different shows up, it's different, and then our brain learns that and then incorporates that into the predictive model the next time.
And I wouldn't stick around long enough to realize that difference, because I was either in a codependent, addicted, or some type of avoidant reactive behavior, which I lost the opportunity to learn. And then I'd go back, see, I told you so, and either blame myself or blame them, and stay stuck in that loop.
Well, this is why this information is I want to say groundbreaking or life changing. It takes all the blame and judgment out of it, and it describes it in a way that nobody's to blame here.
It's biological.
This is how your brain works. This is how your brain creates thoughts. This is how your brain creates everything that it does. It's a predicting machine. It doesn't, like I say, something happens and the outside world doesn't cause me to do anything.
No.
The stimulus doesn't cause it. It's where I compare the stimulus, the input, to my past experience, and my brain is trying to predict what to do with my body to meet what it perceives as happening. And if I have a subconscious, or I have a past it's similar, and I keep reinforcing those past experiences, which is called trauma.
Right.
It's very hard for my brain to predict anything else. That's why I keep doing things over and over and over.
Yep.
It's not my fault.
No.
But it is my responsibility when I do have new information like this. Now I have access. Now I have, what do you want to call it? I become an actor rather than a reactor, or I become proactive. This is
Right.
the empowering part.
Yeah.
This is where the intentional living, the accountability tree comes in. So if I, what I have access to is the important part. I can consciously choose what new experiences I want to have.
Yeah. Sorry
Okay.
about all that.
So for me here, or for everybody who's working the accountability tree, by being accountable for the results that show up in my life, breathe, ask myself, what do I want? And then I create the intention. I intend to be loving. I intend to be kind. I intend to create a world of acceptance, compassion, connection, and wisdom. By the use of the intention, I am literally creating my future, which in turn becomes my present, which in turn becomes my recent past. So my brain will now use that experience to add it to the prediction model.
Yes.
You call it the subconscious pool of information.
Yep.
By having a new experience,
Right.
I change that subconscious pool of information.
Yep.
And over time, my brain uses that pool of information to predict what's going to happen, uh, which in turn changes my present, which changes my future.
Correct.
So for me, it's just like that explains why it works.
Yep.
I
Yep.
validate my experience. I own my present results, where I find myself.
Yep.
Take a deep breath, which puts me in the present. And then I ask myself, what is it that I want that I don't have?
Right.
I intend to live in a world of connection, freedom, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then my reticular activating system uh, gets a hold of this, and it starts navigating me to have these experiences I'm looking for, or I suggest, or I command into existence. I intend to create a world of safety, and the
Yep.
rest of my biology works to support that.
Right. So I can use examples. When I first started facilitating, I was anxious, nervous, panicky. I'd go into what I call anxiety attack, panic attack. And then I would go, okay, I'm gonna do this. And I went through the experience of facilitating, had a positive experience. It's now part of my past, which next time I go to facilitate, that little extra, I had a positive experience. So the anxiety just, and I'm talking years, over a period of years, went down to where now um, I walk into a room and I'm centered, confident, willing, open, and see the outcome of this as beneficial, no matter what I used to think was a disruptive client or a disruptive person in the room or somebody who made a comment that said I was stupid, and I go, I reacted to that instead of yeah, I know this sounds stupid.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes perfect sense.
yeah. But
It
to the person who doesn't know all this, it really sounds kind of strange, like tree huggy kind of stuff, because their own reticular activating system is filtering out because they don't have the experience. They don't have anything to relate it to. And then over a period of time, I keep doing what I do, keep repeating. You guys keep bringing this, what is your accountability? Let's try it. Let's practice. And over a period of time, they get the experience that something is different. And the subconscious now is drawing from a subconscious that has a new experience of you're going to survive. It's going to be okay. And then we expand and we grow and we go, oh my God, this is so powerful.
So this process that Dan is describing becomes our ally.
Yes.
When we now we can be intentional, we actually can create it such that the subconscious pool of information that's been integrating these new approaches. I intend to be safe. I intend to be happy. I intend to be joyful, whatever.
Yeah.
Eventually, that's the pool of information now that is looking out on the world. That is
Yeah.
the content of that imagination that is anticipating something. I want to give an example of that. In
Yeah.
fact, this happened last week, Dan, when I was coming out to meet you for dinner. You know, there was that big traffic jam on
Right.
80, on Interstate 80, as I was heading your way. And I saw the traffic jam, and my first thought was, God damn it, I'm going to be late, and blah, blah, blah. And my next thought was, okay, then I'll be late. And so in the old days, I would have, my adrenaline level would have gone up. I would have cursed the drivers, whatever. I would have been jealous of the people going the other direction who didn't have to stop. But in this case, it's like, well, okay, I'll just get through this when I get through it.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So one thing I want to point out here, the experience you had came from your brain predicting, it's telling you how you're supposed to feel, think, and perceive in that experience that it decided was whatever it was, pissed off. And when that doesn't happen, that's learning.
Yep.
When the model, it's like what a scientist goes into an experiment, he has an anticipation of the results, and then when the results don't come back the way he thought they were, he learned. Your mind is the same exact way. Everything you think, say, do, and feel is done from a predictive model. Your
Yep.
brain and your brain is doing this 24/7.
And the good news is we've attended to the old fixed beliefs that created the results we didn't want. And instead of being judgmental and just, oh, yeah, nice deep breath, I intend to be gracious. I intend to, oh, I'm going to be late. It's not the end of the world because it's not. Before, being late was, I don't know what happened to that little kid, but being late was a capital punishment. If you're like, oh, don't do anything wrong, don't do anything wrong. That is eased, and oh, okay, I can be late. All right. I have my friend Daniel knows. He understands traffic. Traffic is traffic. He's not going to like.
So I want to reiterate here. It's not just the thinking that's being predicted by your brain. It's how you should feel in that prediction. And what you
Yeah.
experience as emotion, your brain has decided and activated your body to feel that way based on its prediction.
Yep.
And yeah, so your brain creates what we call emotion.
Yep.
So if we want to have a different experience, this is the beautiful part. We create we give ourselves the opportunity to have new experiences. And one of our struggles has been, or one of my struggles has been, and I've struggled with it, is I want the answer before I have the experience. Knowing the
Yep.
answer doesn't change the future outcome. Now I understand why. Having the answer is not going to change my behavior.
No.
But that comes from an old predictive, or that comes from an old model, an old pattern of thinking,
Yep.
which puts this at your brain at the priority. That's all I got to worry about. If I know the answer, I don't get to have the embodied experience. So therefore, my brain doesn't have that embodied experience stored in my memory.
Right. Right.
So having affirmations, I can say things all the time.
Yep.
But if I don't have the experience of them, the feeling, the sensing, yeah, it's very difficult to see the difference by starting affirmations or the longevity of them. This is another explanation of why I can temporarily have success, but
Mm-hmm.
long-term success requires me to change my predictive source of information, the subconscious pool of information.
Yep.
Well, we just have a few minutes left in this podcast, and Dan, I hope you come back next week and we can dig into this more. But what I'd like to ask you to do is for the newcomer, once again, go over why this is good news.
Okay. The reason it's good news is because now I have a tool that I can cultivate. I can seed my I can seed my future by creating by having a process where I can see the future with experiences that I want to have, which in turn changes my present, which in turn becomes my current past. And if my brain my brain uses the current past as part of its next prediction about how I'm going to feel in the future. If I pay attention and use the accountability tree, when I own the results, that tells me on a conscious level where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
If I own the results, it tells me where I'm at.
Yep.
And if I don't like where I'm at, I have the power of the intention to I intend to be, which is a command decision about what I want to have in my life,
Yep.
or I intend to create a world of. That's me taking a responsibility for seeding my present moment, which in turn will affect my future. I'm actively creating the experiences. I'm opening the door to have the experiences I want by consciously setting intentions for what it is I want, which in turn changes my current past, which in turn will change how my brain makes predictions, which in turn changes my present and my future moment. I don't know if that makes any goddamn sense, but it makes sense to me.
Well, what I'd like to just layer onto that, if I could, is that this mechanism that Lisa Feldman Barrett is describing and you've been sharing with us is value neutral. It's just, it does what it does. And it led us originally to have these behaviors that mystify us because we were missing the intentionality at the conscious level. And so now that exact same mechanism that had us stuck in these earlier behaviors becomes an ally to us to create new behaviors, new worlds, new inner models, so that what we now expect in the case that I was sharing, my initial expectation was, oh my God, here's a problem. And immediately on top of that was the new expectation, which was I'm safe and I'll get through this and I don't need to panic. So that very same mechanism, the good news is that mechanism can be put in service to creating the world that we want because it responds to those stimuli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, as we wrap up, any last thoughts from either our guest Dan or our guru John on this issue?
Okay, I'll
Uh,
accept that lightly. Yeah, I think next week we'll go through the experience of changing the current reality to something different and then them having it go back stored in the subconscious, now utilized by the decision making process to create a different reality. Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay. Dan, last word.
I am powerful beyond measure, and so are you.
I'd say amen. And so is
Boom, yeah.
everyone watching this. So
Yeah,
stay
yeah.
tuned to next week to find out how do we make that real.
Yep.
So thanks, gentlemen. Good to
All
be with
right.
you.
Okay.
Absolutely.